Give me a clue. Do I make a move? Tell me, baby, what you wanna do. And hey, you. Give me a clue. Do I make a move? Tell me, baby, what you wanna do. I'll do with you. Give me a clue. Do I make a move? Tell me, baby, what you wanna do. And hey, you. Give me a clue. Do I make a move? Tell me, baby, what you wanna do. I'll do with you.
It's great to be up here because I can take my mask off now. Whew. It's great to have it off. Good evening, everyone. We wanted to get started with our program. We're live. We're thrilled to have folks join us from everywhere and thrilled to have you here in the room. I'd like to introduce my co-chair, Dawn Kasserman.
Thank you. Thanks you. Thank you. We're so happy to be back. We're so happy to be back live. It's great to see everybody. I know most of you are at home virtually, but for those of you that are with us, we're really happy to be back. And I am Dawn Kasserman, your co-chair for the night. I think David has a little something to say before I introduce our very best friend.
I just want to say welcome to all the folks tuning in from around the country. We have Idaho in the house tonight, virtually. Go Broncos. No, it's Boise State. Current academic home of our honoree tonight. I want to take a moment to thank Kid Assistant Director Dave Gouda, who does 1,000 things that we don't see. And also, I'd like to take a minute to thank Nancy Coles, who's crossed the 2-decade mark. Just this morning, I learned that she's been given the Consumer Champion Award from the Consumer Federation of America in D.C. It's her and a couple of attorneys general from around the country. Nancy, you're an inspiration and you make impact. Thank you very much. There are a lot of ways to support KID tonight, whether you're here or joining us virtually. If you're watching online, you can buy raffle tickets. You can bid on the great silent auction packages, including a Scotch tasting that I host. Everyone says it's the best. You can just use your phone. Just text KID BFA to 243-725. 243-725. If you registered, you probably got a link for it. It works great. It works amazingly well. We hope that you'll give and help us keep fighting for product safety. Also, you can go to kidsindanger.org and give there as well. So thank you again for joining us tonight.
And now it's our great pleasure to introduce our longtime friend and a past Best Friend Award recipient from NBC5 Chicago, Lisa Parker.
Woohoo! Oh, that was a little too loud. Sorry to the front row. I read Dawn's script when the part where she was introducing me, and it said, former best friend. I was like, hey, once a BFF, always a BFF, right? Falling on to that one. So friends, family, and huge fans of Kids in Danger. I am Lisa Parker from NBC5. Thank you, first of all, for getting me out of the house. I appreciate that. And for the first time in 18 months, allowing me to have some really good breaking news. And that is, we are together. We're here. We are live. I mean, I can almost touch so many of you. I know you are not bots. I made Leslie Batterson do one of those CAPTCHA things. I made her pick out the stop signs and the sidewalks and like, okay, you're a real person. It is so awesome to be back together. Literally my first time doing a live event. I know many of our friends are at home also, and we miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you. But baby steps, right? If we've learned anything over the past 18 months, it is we're gonna measure progress in just those little incremental steps. So last year, when we left each other at the 2020 Best Friend Awards, Kids in Danger said, next year we're gonna do this in person. And I have learned to never question. If Kids says something's gonna happen, it is going to happen. And it has obviously been, for all of us, a really rough year on just every possible level. But for the nonprofits who were already out in our communities doing life-saving work pre-pandemic, the ante just got so upped over the past year and a half. I am so fortunate to work with a number of awesome groups out in the community. And I can tell you this, over the past year and a half, only one was brave enough to do anything with live elements, and it was Kids in Danger last year. I was working with a couple other groups at the time, and I was telling them about what we were doing, and one of the organizers literally grimaced. Her whole face changed when I told her all the live elements that Kids in Danger had planned. And they were not going near that. And then what did we do? It was a thing of beauty. Do you remember? It was awesome. I mean, none of you knew that I was wearing sweatpants, from here down, but I pulled out my sequins for, there's nobody I would pull out my sequins for faster than this group. And so, of course, what are we doing? We're taking it to the next step this year. And I have on real pants. So I feel like it is totally measurable. So yes, many of us are in masks. We are socially distanced, of course. But we are here, we are together, and we are in this room, and that feels like such a victory right now. So the mission of this group, as I'm sure you all well know, has been critical since its inception, since day one. But this past year did kind of add those new layers of challenge. The scenario nationwide of being at home, all of our schedules were just thrown into mass chaos. Distracted parents figuring out how to work from home, kids, taking Zoom classes. It was utter chaos. And, for many of the lucky kids out there, being at home, having more supervision is a great thing. But as we all know, for way too many kids, it didn't mean that. It didn't translate into that. Just in this past week, NBC5 did 2 stories on dangerous, defective products that should not be on shelves. The massive recall of Boppies last week, and then the infuriating fact that teeny tiny magnets have made their way back onto store shelves and are harming, or worse, a huge spike in the number of children. Now, all of you who've been to this event in years past, you've heard my story about my street cred, my Kids in Danger street cred. So I'm going to try to make eye contact with somebody that looks brand new and hasn't heard this story. Dr. Mannen! So years ago, I bought a house 5 doors down from Nancy Cole's. I mean, reporters like to keep their sources really close, right? She never got a restraining order against me, but we did talk about it. But so Nancy moved. She's still on speed dial, still takes my calls, still goes on camera for us whenever we need her. Which brings me back to that story on magnets that we just aired. We went back and looked at the stories we did in 2014, and honestly, I could have almost revoiced word for word the reports that we aired 7 years ago. When my counterparts at our Dallas NBC station called and said, do you guys want to go in on this story together? They had the cutest little 4-year-old twin. And you could just tell he's got like a lot of energy. His name is Witten. He's fine. He had several surgeries. But he was a victim of one of these tiny magnets. So they asked, do you guys want to go in on this story with us? They had no idea that I had the country's best resource in my back pocket. Nancy made me look good again. I was like, yeah, I think I know somebody who could talk about that. And I think that interview has played all over the country since in all of our owned and operated NBC stations. So on the day that we shot that interview with Nancy, I was actually in Columbus, Ohio, moving my youngest back into school. And so my brand new producer is this awesome guy who just moved here from San Diego. He still likes us. I'm not sure how he's going to feel about us in February, but he's here. He loves the work. And he said, well, I'll go shoot the interview with Nancy. And so shortly after their scheduled interview, I got a FaceTime call. And I was right outside the dorm, and I thought, okay, what's up? In an absolute example of my worlds colliding, it was my producer, whose name is Tom Jones, and he was lying in the hammock on my front porch in Oak Park. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Who is this? Why is he there? Why is he at my house? And then I realized, oh, he was just in the middle of Oak Park pretty early interviewing Nancy about magnets. And that is how Kids in Danger rolls. Whatever time of day, whenever we need her, however fast we can get our camera to her, it's all about spreading the word. It's all about awareness. And until we can come up with cures or the right recalls, it is about the awareness. And so lucky for me to have all of you and the work that you do day in and day out in my life. Work that is so critical to this mission. And so here we are to celebrate another best friend, Dr. Erin Mannen, who is out there improving the safety landscape, saving lives, day in and day out, just like the people at Kids in Danger. So let's get this party started. We want to thank our major sponsors for this evening. Toronto Baking Company in the house. Tomasic Coat and Kasserman Law Firm, GATX, Linda Ginzel and Boaz Kazar, and Heather Mason and Perry Lentine. So now let's start with a short video that's going to tell you a little bit about the history and the mission and what KID has been up to.
Kids in Danger was founded in the wake of tragedy, and all of KID's efforts are designed to prevent further tragedy. Our mission is to protect children by fighting for product safety. We support better education for parents and caregivers and serve as a watchdog on regulatory agencies and manufacturers, promoting enhanced transparency and accountability. Along with other parents and consumer advocacy groups, KID's efforts have been vital to the passage of the STURDY Act in the U.S. House of Representatives. We're now working to pass this bipartisan bill in the Senate. When we began working remotely, we developed new ways to continue to reach out to our community. KID held regular Safe from the Start webinars, providing education on safe sleep, choking hazards, furniture tip-overs, recalls, and more, giving parents and caregivers the tools they need to keep children safe. We also held a series of virtual conversations with KID. This interactive forum allowed experts and advocates to speak about the dangers of furniture tip-overs, the current legislative environment, and the ongoing challenges to improving children's product safety. Our annual recall report showed an alarming number of deaths due to the Fisher-Price Rock and Play. Sleep product recalls are especially close to our heart, as KID was founded by the parents of Danny Kasar, who was killed by the collapse of a portable crib recalled 5 years before. Our work is done in memory of Danny and other children killed by dangerous children's products. None of our important work would be possible without the backing of friends like you. Your gift today will help KID to keep fighting for your kids for years to come. Thank you for your continued support.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to a friend who I met when a kid was in danger of it was a certain risk and a story I was working on. I met Sean Kasserman before he was this Kids in Danger, and he has now escalated to the president of the board of KID for how many years now?
I don't know.
That's right. I mean, we all want to have, talk ourselves out of this job, right? We wish we didn't have the job security we do. Let's bring up Sean Kasserman.
It is so good to look out over this room and see people I love, people I admire, people I respect. Lisa Toronto fits every category. But people that are fighting for what's right. It's just, we all belong together, and it's good to be back together in person. Lisa, you are amazing. What you do, not only for kids in danger, but for safety in general, is so appreciated by all of us. And those of us that don't appreciate it should, and whether they know it or not, they thank you. So thanks for what you do. David Zivin, who puts all this together along with my wonderful wife, I want to thank both of you. David sent me a script, and all it said was welcome remarks. So you could work on that a little bit, David. Ironically, though, life is funny, but I got a phone call today from a lawyer who defends companies in product liability cases where children have been killed by juvenile products. I had a case against him 20 years ago, and I've known him for 20 years. And he called me today to refer a case to me and ask if I'd represent a friend of his family's. And the irony wasn't lost on me. Well, it was for a minute or two. And then all of a sudden I said, oh my God, I am tonight going to the Kids in Danger event. Now, this lawyer didn't defend Danny's case, but he did say to me something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, you know what, Sean, I've been watching this for 25 years. And he called it the Kazar family, so I'm sorry, Linda. But he said, what the Kazar family has done over the last 20 plus years is absolutely amazing. And stop and think about that for a second. The lawyer that defends these companies knows what these two folks have done and what Nancy has carried on and what all of us do is amazing. So how can we stop? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be great? So just say, you know, we checked off 20 years. Let's move on. You know what happens if we do that? Kids die. We're not doing that. We're not doing it. So I don't know, David Zivin and Dawn Kasserman, if those were the welcome remarks that you were looking for. But let me tell you something. We got to reach down into our hearts, right? Our guts. You got to have the Lisa Parker mentality that we're not going to stop this fight. Not now, not because of COVID, not because we can't get together, not because times are hard. We're going to keep fighting. Always. So that Danny's with his mom and dad at his 22nd birthday. Right? So let's do it. Please. And I'm kind of preaching to the choir in this room. I'm looking into the camera. Please, give generously. It's worth it. There's no greater cause than to reach back in your pocket and help us fight the folks that even 20 years later are saying you're doing the right thing. Can you imagine a lawyer who defended that company saying you're doing the right thing? You know why? Because we are. It's that simple. It's that easy. So, this is where it gets hard to me because I have to go back to the script. If you're out there, go to text KID BFA 243725. You can help us fight this fight. Or go to kidsindanger.org/events and click on or sign in to register. We need you in this fight. The children out in the world have to have you join us in this fight. And you know what we know today? The lawyers who defend these companies want you in this fight. So please, come join us and help celebrate not only what we've done in the past, but make it possible in the future. And I got to meet Dr. Mannen today. Our Best Friend Award tonight is being given to, well, first of all, she, in my mind, seems like she's 15, but Dr. Erin Mannen is an amazing engineer. And she might be 15, but she's an engineer at Boise State University. And the work that she's done, my wife gets mad at me because I don't sometimes think about this stuff when she wants me to. But I jumped into the internet today and Googled Dr. Erin Mannen. What she's doing is absolutely amazing. And what she's doing is taking the emotion and the love and the concern and quite frankly, some of the anger that all of us have, and she's funneling it into engineering, mathematics, and facts, and things that nobody can deny, so that we can have both sides of that track be on parallel routes, so that we have the facts and the emotion going in the right direction. So we have a really cool video that's going to tell you a little bit more about Dr. Erin Mannen, and we'd like to show that to you now, I think.
As a mother in engineering and in orthopedics, I started asking questions about what products I was putting my baby in, things I was purchasing, and how that was going to impact my baby. And I couldn't find the answers in literature. There was nothing that I could find that kind of used biomechanics, my specialty, to explore how babies are moving and using their muscles and what that means for safety. And so I started the Boise Applied Biomechanics of Infants, BABI, the baby laboratory, which is where we're at right here. So the goal of our lab is to understand how babies move and use their muscles and what that means for musculoskeletal development and safety in commercial infant products. So this project with the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission was a little bit different. We designed the experiment, conducted the experiment just like we would any other academic research. We provided them with a report at the end, which they then published. So seeing the media and the public's reaction to our research was a little surprising. As a scientist and a researcher and an engineer, usually what we do isn't picked up by national or international media. So going through that process and talking with the media and understanding the impact of our research was a really rewarding experience for my team who had worked super hard on the project. I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and so this is really personal work that I do in the lab. I hope that our research can provide parents like me information about which products are safe and which products maybe aren't so safe for babies, and that on a broader scale we can think about how the infant product industry might be impacted positively by understanding infant biomechanics. So it makes it really extra real because these are answers that I would have liked to have known when I had 4 or 5 years ago when my kids were babies.
They obviously have a cool videography lab there at your school. That was beautiful from the way that you swiped in the beginning. It was like totally well thought out. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear from you live in just a few minutes, Erin. So my next introduction, these are people who I would feel honored just to watch a documentary about, truly. or maybe to interview once. But to have had these people in my life, both professional and personal, for 20-some years is just such a complete serendipity. And in order to even the scales for that lawyer who called Sean, I'm going to welcome up the Ginzel family. Linda and Boaz.
So usually Boaz is the designated family speaker, but tonight I am going to speak and Boaz is going to award. Okay? All right. And in the run of show, you know, there's this run of show that says like how the timing is. We have 2 minutes, so here we go. So I want to say that we're honoring Dr. Erin Mannen tonight for her groundbreaking infant sleep research that has led to policy changes and saved lives. Okay, do you want to hear that again? Okay, so we're professors. Boaz does groundbreaking research. It doesn't save any lives. All right? So let me say this again. We are here tonight to honor Dr. Erin Mannen for her groundbreaking infant sleep research that has led to policy changes and saved lives. Thank you. Boaz just leaned over to me and said, "You can stop now." Okay, but I won't. Thank you very much. I actually thought you were going to wear your medal tonight. I was surprised that you didn't do that. Okay, we'll see the pictures. All right, so we saw this amazing video, and we learned that the goal of Dr. Mannen's lab, her baby lab, she's doing research, experiments, like real experiments, randomized, randomly assigning subjects to conditions, control groups. She's doing research, looking for answers, using infant biomechanics, and trying to figure out what that means for safety. Let's hope that the infant product safety industry can be positively impacted. I want you to look at Dr. Mannen, and I want you to know that this is what a scientist, a researcher, an engineer, and a mom looks like. And I agree, Sean, she does look like a kid. We're just too old. We're just getting old, that's all. I'm sorry. It's a compliment that you look like a kid, okay? So she's here tonight with her husband, Drew, and we're so happy to have both of you with us this evening here at the University of Chicago's Gleacher Center. I'm supposed to be introducing Erin, but I can't help but say thank you so much to the Gleacher Center, to Wolfgang Puck, to the amazing Cheryl Desir and all of her staff that's here. Thank you so very much. Okay, so Drew and Erin's first child, Jay, now almost 7 years old, was his mother's inspiration. And she started studying babies when she was trying to get answers to questions that she couldn't find answers to in the literature, as you heard on her video. So I did Google Scholar. I did a Google Scholar search. Some of you in the audience are familiar with this. And her first paper using babies is Infant Positioning Impacts Neck and Back Muscle Activity, a pilot study exploring implications for spinal development. And then it continues, how do babies roll? Understand how babies 3 to 7 months achieve a roll. You think about safe sleep. How do babies roll? What do we even understand about that? What do the product manufacturers understand about how babies 3 to 7 months achieve a roll?
do they even think about this when they design their products? The paper for which she did, which we heard about in the video for the Consumer Product Safety Commission, was, actually she has 2 papers that were published from that research. One is Infant Inclined Sleep Product Safety, a model for using biomechanics to explore safe infant product design. And I just hear that her second paper on this research was just published recently in the flagship journal in her field, the Journal of Biomechanics. So let's do another round of applause. The academics in the audience know what it means to publish these papers in these flagship journals and how many revise and resubmit manuscripts you have to deal with. And so our heart is with you. Dr. Mannen recently received the prestigious Early Career Award from the American Society of Biomechanics. She's amazing. I mean, I am completely in awe of this young scholar. She was a high school athlete who tore her ACL, and that's how she became interested in this field. And then she had children, and that's what turned her interest to children's product safety, our cause, our family cause, the cause for which you are all here tonight to be with us, to celebrate and to support. The last thing, I also Googled you today. I was in good company with Sean, one of my favorite people on the planet, and Dawn, his wife. And what I learned is that Erin was named won this award, and it's called Phenomenal Woman for promoting other women in STEM. Boaz and I are so honored to present to you Kids 2021 Best Friend Award to the phenomenal Dr. Erin Mannen. Where's the camera? Let's go. You ready? You're on, Derry. All right, it's all yours.
Wow, thank you. I'm a crier, so seeing this is not helping, you know. Thank you so much for this really amazing honor from such an incredible organization. Linda and Boaz, thank you for what you started 20 years ago and for really helping the world be a safer place for kids. Nancy, thank you for introducing yourself to me and forging this relationship. I know and I see your passion for product safety, and it's contagious, and I look forward to continuing our relationship. I feel like God has really blessed me with this unique vocation in baby biomechanics, and I look forward to dedicating the rest of my career to this worthy cause. So thank you for the award. As an engineer and a researcher and a complete nerd, we don't get a lot of opportunities to thank people publicly, so there are a few people that I would like to thank. My husband, Drew, who has given up his career to support mine and take care of our children. Seriously. This Friday is our 10th wedding anniversary. And so anybody who knows me knows that Drew's really the one that deserves an award for a decade of dealing with my antics. I have to thank Jay and Lucy, my kids, who, as was alluded to, helped inspire my interest in baby biomechanics and really jump-started my career. And I need to thank my mom and dad, who are watching via YouTube if they figured out the link, in Kansas. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for being my biggest supporters, my biggest cheerleaders, and always being there to listen to me practice an award speech. And then moving on to my colleagues, my collaborators on this study from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences, in particular, Dr. John Carroll, who is a pediatric pulmonologist at Arkansas Children's Hospital and just a phenomenal mentor, colleague, and person. And I'm looking forward to continuing our work together with him. My new colleagues at Boise State University who are watching from Idaho right now. They are so supportive of our work and always up for any opportunity to celebrate, which I'm quite sure they're doing right now in my dean's backyard. So thank you to them for support. And also the researchers in the baby lab who make this all work. They're hardworking, fabulous people, and I'm honored to work with them every day. And then, of course, to you, all of you who are here and show up and give of your time and your resources to support this worthy cause. I look at this as kind of day one as my relationship with KID, and I look forward to all the wonderful things that we can hopefully do together. As my work at Boise State University continues, I know that together we can continue making the world a safer place for kids and babies. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Leidy, Dean of the College of Engineering here at Boise State University. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the KID organization for their work and for honoring Dr. Erin Mannen, Professor of Mechanical and Biomedical Engineering here at Boise State. Erin, congratulations on behalf of the college. We are so proud of all of your accomplishments. Go Broncos.
Good evening. My name is Tato Tanakar, and on behalf of the Department of Mechanical and Biomedical Engineering at Boise State University, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the KID organization for this event tonight and for honoring my colleague, Dr. Erin Mannen. Erin, congratulations. We are so proud of you. You're an amazing researcher and a great colleague, and I can't wait to see the great things you do going forward. Thanks again. Congratulations, and go Broncos.
Dawn and me?
It was a surprise to us, obviously. We didn't know that was going to happen, so that was really nice.
Hey, you know what, before we go, I'm going to go off script if it's okay with Dawn and David.
Whatever.
You know what, and I feel a little bad about this, but one of the things I did while Linda was speaking and Boaz was not, is dialed into the link that they gave me on my phone. And I think we've given money already, but I gave another $1,000. Oh, yes. Well, what I would like everybody to do right now, whether you're virtual or here, you got a link. Take a minute. Find it, hit it, save it, do what you have to do. But we're not just here to celebrate what's happened in the past. We're here to prevent things happening in the future, and it's going to take the commitment from all of us. So take a minute. Hit your phone. You got to put in your credit card number. I had to ask Dawn what it was. Actually, I didn't. I had it. But let's do the right thing right now. Doesn't that make sense? Isn't it that simple? Let's do the right thing right now. So now I'll go back to the script. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, KID has done a great job over the last 2 years. And it hasn't been easy. It has not been easy. Nancy, the way that you have kept things marching forward is absolutely amazing. And you know what? The children that you have protected, who will never know that you protected them, are worthy of everything that you've done, and I know that you know that. But there's a lot of work that's taken place over the last 2 years, and Dawn, tell them a little bit about that.
Well, we touched on it in the video, but I think the best thing that happened this past summer is the Sturdy Act passing. And the Sturdy Act provides better information for tip overs, because I don't know if you guys are aware of all the IKEA tip overs, but the Sturdy Act was passed, shockingly bipartisan in Congress. And with your help, we're going to continue so that we can assure that it's passed in the Senate. So we have some work to do to get it completely passed, but we did get it passed through Congress, and that was really a big deal for us.
We've also helped with the Safe Sleep Babies Act, which bans the sale of crib bumpers and inclined sleeper products. That's not a little deal. That's huge. Lives are being saved. You know what else? The Consumer Product Safety Commission has a new rule coming out that requires an infant sleep product to meet safety standards before it can be sold. Wow. Not after it's sold, before it can be sold.
And then looking forward, we're working on a new platform so that we can ensure that all consumers can have up-to-date information immediately, and they can see if something's been recalled, or they can see what's safe and what's not. And that's going to be a great platform that we're working on in the future.
So I'm going to get off the script. You know what I want from you. You know what we need from you. Everyone who was with us tonight here, or virtually, or if you see this into the future, join us. Get involved. Donate when you can and what you can. Text to KID BFA, KID BFA, 243725, or go to kidsendanger.org/events. We need your help. Join our team. I believe that the link to all of this is also in the YouTube. I know that means a lot to people other than me, but go to YouTube, check in on Kids in Danger, and join us if you can.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, wait, one last thing. I'm looking at the script. Raffle tickets will end at midnight, and the auction will close at 7:45. Don't let either one of those two things happen without getting involved. Thanks.
I have a new drinking game, and it is called When Sean Kasserman Says I'm going to Go Off Script. Thumbs up. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you to all of our donors, and go Broncos. This felt right, right? I think they like their mascot. It's awesome. So I do have here in my script an opportunity for announcing some breaking news. And I know that we in my business tend to abuse that term just a little bit. But this was to be, I mean, this is hot off the presses here, that Nancy Coles is one of 3 Consumer Champion awardees for the year 2021 by CFA. I do believe David may have stolen my thunder on that announcement, but you know what? You're not ABC7, so I'm not mad at you. If it was ABC, I'd be really mad. So congratulations, Nancy. I mean, beyond deserved. Nancy just marked 20 years in this position. And in honor of that anniversary, we had a little competition, and some people took it as an opportunity to say some heartfelt remarks. You know, those of us who are a little competitive saw it in a different light and treated it as such, and that is the medal that Linda referred to. I won Nancy's Biggest Fan Award. I have a medal, it's written on there, and it is the same size as my most awesome award ever, my Best Friend Award. Nancy, I'd like to welcome you up to stage with our Best Friend Award winner, Dr. Erin Mannen, for a conversation.
Sorry, I just have to, oh, it's on. Yes. We position the chair so we could take our masks off so you could see us. So we don't always do this at Best Friend Nights. As you know, we're often busy with partying and having a great time, and we're going to get back to that. But I thought Erin is such an amazing scientist, kind of new to this field, at least for us. I thought it would be a great opportunity to just ask her some questions. I've got some lined up. I'm hoping that you might have some, both in the audience and also on YouTube. If you have questions, just put them in the chat and someone will make sure that we get those. So, Erin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor.
Well, thank you. We're, as you know, very excited about the work you're doing. So your lab is called Baby. Such a great name. Yeah. Can you tell us what biomechanics means, though, and how you do your research?
Absolutely. So in biomechanics, we think about the body as a machine. So we look at how the body moves and what's causing those movements. And when we think about it in the context of infants, we think about what those movements might mean for product safety. So we use specialized cameras that can track motion of different body segments. And then we use these sensors called electromyography sensors to measure muscle activity. So we can understand how a baby is moving and then what muscles they're using to coordinate those movements.
Great. And what's the most surprising thing that your research so far has uncovered?
I would say the most surprising thing about our research is that when we as scientists do research, we're always looking for kind of previous studies, right, that we can cite and that we can learn from. And in infant biomechanics, when we look into those previous studies in the context of consumer product safety, there's not a lot of information there. So I'd say the most surprising is kind of the lack of research in this obviously very important area.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I mean, we've been working on this area for so long. We're often asked, when we want to, we've been saying, for instance, incline sleepers have been unsafe for a long time, or other products. Where's the data? Where's the data? There's no data that you've provided, that wasn't there before. And the only data, unfortunately, is children who have died or been injured by products. And so it's so exciting to introduce you to this field and really get data that doesn't rely on children dying to find out a product's unsafe. So that's really great. So the Consumer Product Safety Commission, they, as I said, consumer groups and parents have been talking about the dangers of inclined sleepers for a while. They really weren't doing very much on it. There was then what's been called a data breach, but really is just lucky for so many children that some unsuspecting clerk at CPSC sent the real data to Consumer Reports that talked about all the babies who had died in these products. And then CPSC hired you to look into it and investigate these products. How'd they find you? Had you already been looking at infant sleep?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my first study was just on healthy babies, and I wanted to see how healthy babies were moving and using their muscles in the context of musculoskeletal development, so how hips are developing, how spines are developing. And so we had published some abstracts on this new line of research in baby biomechanics, and the CPSC contacted me and said, hey, do you think you could answer this question using biomechanics? And after I freaked out, I said, I think we could. I think I could assemble a team of colleagues of different, backgrounds and expertise, and we could answer this question. So that's kind of how the relationship started.
That's great. And what did you find out? Why exactly are these products, the inclined sleepers like the Rock and Play, so dangerous?
Sure. So inclined sleepers feature an inclined back and kind of a seat type of design. We found that there were two different hazard modes for those inclined sleepers. One is when babies are placed on their back and found on their backs, and one is actually when babies are placed on their backs and found on their tummies, so they'd apparently rolled over. So for the conditions where babies were found on their back, what we found is that babies are subjected to kind of a seated slouch posture. And we know from adult literature and breathing literature that actually inhibits normal breathing. So it's likely that this position that they were subjected to is actually not great for infant breathing. For the rollover cases, we also found that that position that they're in is part of what is required as a coordinated movement for rolling. So they're being put in a position that potentially makes it easier for them to roll over. And then once they're in that prone position, they're on their tummies in those products, we found that they were struggling using their abdominal muscles much greater than they were on a flat crib mattress, which again has issues with fatigue. So they, you know, if a parent doesn't find them quick enough, they could, their muscles would get tired, and if they weren't able to self-correct, then that would lead to a suffocation incident.
Yeah, and I know just from talking to parents who did lose children in these, they didn't even realize their children could roll over until they rolled over in this product.
Absolutely, and that was several of the cases that we reviewed in detail. The parents said exactly that they had never before observed their child rolling on a flat surface until they found their child dead on their tummies in one of these products.
Right. So your research really led to very significant policy change, and if you have not been involved for the 20 years I've been involved, you may not even realize how significant. I mean, it's so rare that they backtrack and take action to ban a product, to say that a certain product isn't allowed. What's it like to have such an impact?
Well, again, as an engineer and a researcher, we spend a lot of our time in the lab and on a computer hoping that somebody will read one of our research articles that we've published. So to be able to see kind of the results of our research making national and international impact and actually leading to policy changes and saving lives is really fulfilling and motivating, honestly, to continue in this field, and this is a worthy endeavor.
So do you have any idea why people haven't used biomechanics before in looking at these issues?
That's a good question. I have some speculations. So there's not a lot of women who are mechanical engineers. It's something like 10% who have PhDs that are women. We know that women are the primary caregivers, except in my family. And so, you know, women are typically the ones that might have these types of questions. And so I think it's a combination of not having somebody asking the right questions with an understanding of the background that would be required to answer those questions. But hopefully with this research, we can motivate other people to start studying this important area.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a great resource for manufacturers who are developing baby products especially, to be able to answer some of these questions.
Absolutely, I hope so. I want to work with industry and make positive impacts on product design.
So we've talked a little, Linda mentioned it. Tell me a little bit about your children and how they have influenced your work.
Sure. So almost 7 years ago, we had our first child, Jay, and I had him 9 days after I defended my PhD. So I, was on this big high of being an academic, and then I have this baby who is colicky and had double hernia surgery. My husband is a police officer working nights, and I don't know what I'm doing, right? No idea. So I'm on the internet trying to Google products that are going to help, because whatever's happening was not, didn't seem right. And so what I found is that there are some answers about products that might be good for attachment and things like that, but there were not any answers about biomechanics of infants in different products. So Jay was really the motivation to start this work. And then since we had Lucy, so she has to be involved too. She was actually the first baby ever studied in my lab.
Okay.
So baby was Lucy was our pilot baby.
That's great. That's great. So what are you working on now?
Lots of things. Yeah, we're working on infant rolling. So Linda mentioned it, but we want to understand how a baby rolls in a normal flat surface. And then once we can understand that and how it changes over development, because it does, how can we apply that information to help manufacturers design safe products? So we're working on that. I have a keen interest in baby carrier design as well, and having safe hip position for babies, and then continuing working with the Consumer Product Safety Commission in whatever way I can to help them answer important questions about product safety.
And I understand that you've done some of the research on their crib bumper rule that is not yet public, so we can't talk about it, but...
I cannot talk about anything like that.
That's great. So does anyone in the room or online, Dave, have any questions? Lisa?
So Dr. Mannen, I think, well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
But biomechanics in infants, I have to believe, is somewhat unpredictable, right? I mean, because it's involuntary, I would think. So how much consistency do you find between pilot baby A and, experimental baby M, for example?
That's a great question. There's a lot, so when babies are first born, there's a lot of involuntary movements. But then as they kind of grow through development, their movements become more voluntary and more targeted and more on purpose, right? And so the age range that we study is typically 2 to 6 months old. And so there are intentional movements. We do have a lot of variability in some of the measures, but what we found in this research in particular is that the product really does impact the way that they're moving, even though there is variability in this new field.
Any other questions? Yep, back in the room.
Yes, so I wonder if that your implications have can also inform adult movement. Like if you're looking at how children access their bodies that early on, we can learn from that, can't we, as we're older?
I think absolutely. There's so many questions. As I've started in this field, it's really just opened up a whole new set of questions. There's lots of questions just about infant and child development that we could start addressing and answering, and how some of these early movements may or may not impact the way we move as adults. So we need more people doing this. So if you know anyone, please encourage them to go into this field.
Okay, well, okay, go ahead, real quick.
On that note, what would be your advice for a young woman who might be interested in engineering, but breaking into this field and moving forward in what you do?
Sure, so my dean is watching, so I'm gonna say the mechanical and biomedical engineering program at Boise State University is really fabulous, especially if they want to study baby biomechanics. But in all honesty, going into engineering really does open all kinds of doors for your career. And getting involved in research as an undergrad played a big impact on my trajectory. So that's what I would say is just try to find something you're interested in and volunteer in a research lab.
Boaz?
To what extent are manufacturers interested in your work? So I was asking to what extent manufacturers are actually interested in what you find?
I cannot answer that question. I have not been contacted by any major manufacturers about this work. Thank you.
How do you recruit babies to be able to start?
That's a great question. Our marketing team at Boise State has done a great job of helping recruit babies in the Boise area in the study. And my graduate students do a lot of work in trying to get these babies into the lab. For the most part, parents are really willing to volunteer their kids because I think they see the value in the research.
And how long do you have them?
A couple hours, yeah, so it's a couple hours.
Over the course of months, or is it just like a one and done?
So if we're doing a longitudinal study, then we'll have them come in multiple times. But like for this inclined sleep study, it was a 1-2-hour session.
Dave?
Yeah, we have a couple questions online. One from Dave, it's, do you actually observe infants to conduct your studies in various baby products, or do you study situations after the fact?
I'm not totally sure what that means.
You did, though, study the babies in the rock and play,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So we actually bring babies into the lab and put them in these actual products. And so we're observing them and measuring all these biomechanical outcomes while they're in the products. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah.
One, it's kind of similar to Boaz's question, is how can industry help support the efforts going on at Boise State?
I am certainly open to working with industry in meaningful ways. I have an orthopedics background, and working with industry in the orthopedics sector was a natural fit. And so I know how to work with industry, and I think it's a natural relationship if industry is interested in a specific research question that we could help answer in the biomechanics lab.
Well, thank you for answering all those questions. I have the question, though, that's on everyone's mind. What's with the blue field at Boise State?
Okay, so it's a big deal at Boise State, and I'm fairly new there, but let me tell you, everybody knows about the blue field. So it's an innovative way of thinking. So basically, we have players with blue uniforms on a blue field. It may or may not be a slight advantage, right? And so Boise State has kind of rallied around that innovation, this thinking of innovation, and how can we be innovative thinkers. So yeah, it's a blue field. Maybe I should make the baby lab floor blue.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
Well, thank you so much, Erin, and I think I'm turning it back to Lisa now.
Thank you.
You just stay here.
Dr. Mannen.
Oh, hi. My only question was, when will you be able to talk about the crib bumper rule? And are you interested in, say, the relative merits of an exclusive scoop with a certain media organization? But we can talk about that. We can do a sidebar.
Sidebar.
Thank you. We stand in awe of your work. And I, for one, can say you are absolutely the cutest nerd I've ever met. Ever. So congratulations to your parents, who no doubt figured out the link because they raised you. So they must be geniuses too. So my only housekeeping right now is to tell everybody thank you, thank you, and thank you. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to all the donors. You are who makes this incredible work keep going. If you are here in the room with us, please keep enjoying wonderful food and drink. For those of you watching on YouTube, thank you, thank you, thank you. And please keep supporting Kids in Danger. This is the last call for the silent auction that ends at 7:45. Are we already over that? It ends soon. And you can also purchase raffle tickets until midnight. So thank you all. Woohoo!